Hey, it's Mike. I'm going to be going over the Dextender CGM app that I developed. So if you can bear with my ums and my ums and my stuttering, um, there I go again. We could go through this. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you if you look in the upper left-hand corner, 134. That's the current blood glucose value that's running on the surfaces right now. So the way you do is you kick up the app and the splash screen appears, and that's the current value of her blood glucose values. And I think I have the high set at 120 or 130. Anyway, so the last run time was 4 minutes ago. This is the last time the services ran on this phone, and the last time the receiver got any value was at 10:22 p.m. here in beautiful New Jersey. Okay, so this first screen, you'll see there's four different screens. The first screen shows you the value and the trend. The second screen shows you the graph. Third screen shows you the status. And the fourth screen shows you the logs. Now I'm probably going to get an alarm on the high any second, so we'll go through that, which will be pretty cool. Excuse me. So in the graphing screen, which is the second screen, there's the information here is your high, your low, and your average. The high, it would happen at it was a 134 high at 10:22 p.m., which is right now. The low, which is 55 at 6:27 p.m. I think we were going low after dinner, and then the average is 93. So for the 6 hour, that's the average is 81. And so, okay, so here's one of those intrusive alarms. So really, I have to kind of confirm it. Now, I'm going to leave this. It's a little bit annoying, but if you see, I have to actually swipe to stop the alarm, which is exactly what I wanted to show. So anyway, going back to the graph, you have your 3 hour, your 6 hour, your 12 hour, and your 24 hour values, and it calculates the average for all the different time periods. So you'll see the values change and the lows and things like that. Oh, the 49 at 2:07 a.m. That was a compression low. As you notice, it does get higher immediately after that. She was actually in the 70s, so that was kind of a bogus value. The status, the background servers, like I mentioned, there's a background task that's continuously running, and what I'll do is I grab the information from the Dexcom server and store it on this phone. And this app is lighter on their servers than their own app is. It's actually more responsive as well. The network connection allows me, if I have access to the internet. Cloud Connect lets me know that I'm connecting to the Dexcom servers. The subscriber, Dextender username and status, that's all covered in the registration tutorial. The current BG settings. I can get into you see the low setting and the high setting, but there's a target low setting and a target high setting, and I'll discuss that in the services when I talk about the setup. And here, as you see, what's cool about the log lets me know about everything that's been going on. The reason I put a log in here is, let's say I forget, it's any kind of logging where I don't know, sometimes we miss an alarm. The alarm goes off. Did we hear that alarm? Oh my God, we didn't hear that alarm. If you look at the Dexcom Follow app, it just says, oh yeah, you got a blood glucose notification. It doesn't tell you when you got it. Here, in this situation, it tells me, the type of error, when that error occurred, and the severity of that error. And I'll get into that. I'll get into that, and I'll explain that further along what some of these values mean. So let's go into the settings. The first setting these settings should look very familiar. You have your hard low. The hard low, I've expanded it. I've went one notch down on I think Dexcom stops at 55. My daughter sometimes hovers around 54, 55, because Dexcom is actually reading lower. So usually she's like 60, 65. So we don't want to keep on getting blasted with alarms. And so since we've had the receiver for over about 2 years now, we're familiar with that. But I've also increased the upper limit of the hard low, because as you can see how that screen before where you had to acknowledge the alert, that's the same alert that works on the hard low. Low warning is your standard low, where you can either turn it off or you can have anywhere values between 60 to 100. Usually at night we set it to 70. The hard low I usually set it to 60. And then the high warning at night while we're sleeping, we'll set it to either, it can be off, or we usually set it to 120. You can also alert if there's a trend, if the trend is single arrow down or double down, single up, double up, give us a warning on that. I'm going to go talk about the smart limits, and that's why it's called advanced, because this takes some explanation. Okay, elevated warnings. Basically, I'll have to explain this. This is difficult to explain. That having, let's say you saw before that I set it for 120, but if it's at hanging out, let's say she's hovering at this is my daughter, and she's hovering at 115 for 3 or 4 hours. Now that kind of sucks. So it's not totally cool to do. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, fine. If it's above hold on a second. If it's above a certain value, in this case 110, for more than an hour, then play a song. Okay, play something to let us know that her blood glucose values they haven't hit the high that we set, but they're hovering in this highish range that we want to probably knock down. Okay, so I'll disable that for now. Oh no, what I'll do is I'll go real quick to the graph to show you on the graph. That's the what do you call it? That's the elevated high. That's why there's a turquoise line, an additional line. Let me go back to settings. Oh, baby. All right, you know what? Blood glucose thresholds. Let me set this to for now. During the daytime, I usually have it on 180 anyway. At nighttime, it goes down to 120. All right, so we have, let me go back here, smart limits. So that takes care of the elevated warnings. The trailing high. Okay, I'll give an example, because a lot of this mimics the things that me and my wife have been doing. Your child, I'm just going to use my child. You can, if it's a parent or whatever, or your wife, spouse, whatever, I'm just going to use the term child. Your child is hanging out at 180. You gave him a couple of units of insulin, and you go back to sleep. Well, what me and my wife do is we'll set the alarm clock for an hour, and because we want to reset the alarm, we want to set back our limits to 120. So you don't want to have it under 180, because if you set it under 180, if you set your thresholds immediately under 180, you're going to get alarmed continuously until you hit the values that you want. What this does is says, in conjunction with the elevator readings above, is you can say is, okay, fine, reset your high level, so you can set that. My target level is 120, and this is a tone to play every time it gets reset. So every time it falls below a 10 unit drop, it will play a tone. So if it goes from 180 to 170, it's going to play a tone. You know, if it goes from 170 to 140, it's going to play a tone until it actually hits that level, in this case the 120, and then it will verbalize a statement saying that yes, your target level has been reached. The same thing with the target low. So for example, your child is running low, has been low, 50, you usually have the value set much higher, let's say 70 or 80. What I can then say is, okay, fine, that's my target low, play the sound, whenever it's incrementally going up, and then notify me when that value has been hit. So instead of setting an alarm clock, and this is what my wife and I have been doing for like the last 4 years, instead of setting an alarm clock, reset my values if they're trending in a particular direction. If they aren't, odds are I'm going to hit into, if it was, for example, on the high, odds are I'm going to hit into this area over here in the elevated warning area. Okay, so that's the smart limits. Snooze sounds and vibrations. Alarm sounds. You have your hard alarm sound, hard low. This is where I'll stop that real soon. That's because that's real annoying. So that's for the hard low. Your regular low, I'll play that. The high alarm gets a little interesting here, and I'll explain. The high alarm, you can say, fine, I want to play this sound, but what I can then say is I can just keep it and say, okay, let me just play high alarm. However, me and my wife, again, sometimes we sleep through these alarms, and we've done everything with glass, beads, and pans, and all sorts of in foil. Oh my God, we've done everything to try to wake us up. Things with electronics. It's nonsense. Anyway, so what I've done here is I say, okay, fine, immediate. And what that does is it gives me that nasty screen, and it continuously plays the alarm over and over and over again until I actually have to swipe the alarm and acknowledge that I got that. Here it's immediate. So it will actually, until I acknowledge that I received the alarm. That will wake you up. So that's a cool thing. Data error alarms. So if there's ever like a little, you miss a value, then play that. You can have no sound if you don't want. Auto off alarm. This guy, and I'll get into the auto off alarm. Just remember there's an auto off alarm. Low trend, high trend, as you said, and then how long do you want to play it? Let's say you had a really long, you decide to pick your own custom alarm. You can then, throttle how long you can limit how long you want to play that tone. Alrighty then. Vibrations in silent mode. You can vibrate this device. It actually vibrates to the SOS pattern. Snooze and error. So snooze, I never touch these. It's 5 minutes. So I just put them there if you want to configure it, but I would recommend just leaving it as 5 across the board. Right? And 5. Whoops. I want this everything to be 5. Okay, cool. And the snooze. There was the snooze there. There was the this is the alarm in silent mode. Let's just say, for example, you're at a meeting, but you still want, and you put your phone on off, but you want because you don't want text messages and your phone to ring or whatever. Well, but you don't want to miss these.
Low target level has been reached.
Woohoo! Awesome, because that's something I did. So now you've heard another example of something I wasn't planning. Alrighty, so that basically will override any kind of silencing. So I don't know if it works on all phones, so that's the caveat. Okay, service settings. Background service that you saw before, that turns off. I'm not going to touch that button because it resets the timers. But you can turn off the background service. That disconnects everything. Now this background service will be automatically turned off. So you have this automatic stop service, auto stop service. Excuse me. The auto stop service says that if I don't receive any data for, in this case I'll make it 30 minutes, then this toggle will actually turn off automatically. What's cool about that is that I want to be a good citizen and not hit the Dexcom servers. I don't want them to get all upset with me that I'm banging their servers for absolutely no reason, and also I don't want to use up my battery for no reason, and I don't want to incur data charges. I don't want to use up my data allocation for absolutely no reason. So believe it or not, I do use this feature, and it works like a charm. Refresh interval, I do usually leave it 5 minutes, but if you were very concerned about, and let's say your child is in a safe zone, I do allow this option where you can say, you know what, refresh every 15 minutes instead of every 5 minutes. But you know what, I usually leave this off. It's something I was thinking about would be a cool feature to save battery and data, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference because there's not a lot of data going back and forth. Okay, so we have the service setting. Text to speech. Love this. As you can hear, you can read the values of the blood glucose, and I'm going to leave that on for now. Let's just leave this let's just leave this at the text to speech, where I can say only speak when I'm approaching things like between 15 points of a threshold, then start speaking. But let me leave that for now. And then, so that's notifications. Notifications, how they look on your smartwatch, that just changes the format a little bit around. Not a big deal. The intro tune, you're going to probably leave that off because it's annoying. I just put that there to be cool. Account settings. This is all part of the registration process. And let me see what else. And about, oh yeah, here we go. This is about what I do for a living and why I went and killed myself building this thing. Because we all do it for our kids, don't we? Anyway, so that's all the different settings. Oh, one of the things is the refresh. These screens don't always refresh automatically. What you would have to do is you'd have to press any one of these buttons to refresh the screen. But if you swipe from screen to screen, it will automatically update. So in this situation here, we have the 136. Now she's, if this is actually a button, that green button there, might be yellow, might be red, but that's actually a button. So the button changes. Here's your graph. Oh, and here's another thing I want to talk about. Okay, so we had a data retrieval error, a data retrieval error, data retrieval error. What I ended up doing is I ended up toggling. This was this morning when I took my daughter goes to school around 7:15. So then 7:20. So at 7:25 I got a data retrieval, data retrieval, data retrieval. I toggled the service to off, and then the background service went down on its own 5 minutes later. So now I'm not using anything. This system is totally off. I was doing some playing around, but here again, low warnings, low warnings, low warnings. So it's because I had the low threshold set at 70, so I was getting alerts there. Here I had the high threshold set at 120, and it was alarming me. Here the low warning limit has been reached. So what it does is, this is exactly what I want to show. So I had the annoying alarm set. This will continue to play. This will play forever with the screen on. Even if your screen is off and in sleep mode, it will wake up, and you have to go and slide to turn it off. And guess what I'm going to do? Because it's really annoying. Nope, it was in the high settings. Where's my snooze sounds and vibrations, alarm sounds, high sounds? I turn that off. All right. So in that situation, I think what happened in the last 3 hours, she went down under so you see this little dot here at 10:42 p.m. So she went down below the yellow, then it went back above the yellow. It got reset because I had the reset function enabled to 120. It came down to 140. She went back to 142. It sets off the alarm. So that is it in a nutshell. If you have any questions or comments, please call me. That means please email me, admin@dextender.com. Again, this is with this is the Dextender CGM enhancer. Let me just set this. Glucose, high warnings. And notice how quick this is compared to the follow app. Boom, come back. I'm back. I'm out of the yellow because it's below the threshold that I set. That's it. It should be pretty intuitive. The hard part is going to be the registration. Hopefully, people number one, can handle my ums between every sentence, and number two, hopefully you find this useful. If you like it, give me a like on the Google Play Store, or just drop me a line and let me know that this is a thumbs up and you guys dig it. All right, take care. Have a good night.